Welcome to Film and Broadcasting Education. I am your instructor, Steven Heumann, and this is our first course. I hope that you guys are really excited about what we're going to learn over the next 33 weeks because it's going to be pretty awesome. I've gone through a lot of courses like when I was in college, and I found most of them lacking. They would focus on one thing, and it would just be brief, and you would move on to something else. What I wanted to do with this course was a little bit different because I wanted it to be a little bit more fully instructive in that we're going to hit the minutia, not just, okay, set up your camera or this is how you direct, but this is how you actually get things done. This is how you can get your production on television or get it in front of the right people for a movie, that sort of stuff. So those are the sorts of things that we're going to be concentrating on over the next 33 weeks. Now, along with this video, we'll be sending out the full syllabus so that you know exactly what to expect week after week and what we're going to be moving toward. Now, at the end of the school year, we will be doing a film project that will be about 4 weeks long. So those last 4 weeks, we will still be doing video courses and we'll still be going over some things, but most of that is going to be all on you to create the movie that you've had in your mind since the beginning. And hopefully you have a story that you want to tell, because that is what filmmaking is all about. It's about telling a story. It's not just about setting up a camera and having people talk. It's about telling a story that is important to you. So hopefully over the next 33 weeks, that's what we're going to get into, and you'll be confident by the end that you'll be able to do this. Well, first, let me introduce myself so that you know who I am, what my credentials are, and So I'm Steven Heumann. I've worked in broadcasting for the last 15 plus years. I worked on a television show called At Your Leisure at the beginning. I was the senior producer, so I ran basically everything. On camera, behind the scenes, editing, all of it. It was my job to make sure that that show made it on the air every single week and that it met broadcast standards. So I would film, I would be behind the camera, I would be editing, I would be writing, I would be directing the on-camera talent, and I was the on-camera talent often when I would report on different stories, and sometimes I would host the show as well. So I got a taste for every aspect of the creative process through that. So I was doing basically everything, and it was a new show every single week, a new half hour of content. And it was awesome. It was a great time. I had wonderful experiences all over the world and got to do outdoor activities that most people only dream about. And also during this time, I worked with a lot of film companies and did a lot of film work. We did short stories, we did long form, full length features. I wrote screenplays, I worked with producers, I worked with financiers. I did everything that it took to get our productions on theater screens or on television for people to be able to enjoy. And so I know the ins and outs that most people don't. Most people will focus on one thing. They are just a producer or they are just a director. Well, because of what I did, I was forced to wear all of those hats. And I was forced to learn how to do all of it very, very well so that it would be at the standards that it needed to be at. And for the last few years, I've been writing novels, which has helped to hone my story-making ability because it's very different from screenwriting. And so I haven't just been writing dialogue. I haven't just been, giving little cues so that the director and the actor can take over. I've been creating the worlds from scratch. I've also collected comics since I was 9 years old. I collect action figures to this day, and I am a huge geek. So now that you know about me, let's talk about the class and what we're going to be learning over the next 33 weeks. Now, like I said, we're going to hit a little bit of everything, and we're going to progress just as you would when it comes to filming a movie. We're going to start next week with a little bit of film history. Now, why is that important? Because this isn't a history class. It's important because art forms evolve. Art forms change over time. And it's important for people who are working in that medium to understand that and to understand where we've been, where we are, and where we may be going in the future when it comes to that art form. So next week, we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be going over and talking about different directors and their impacts and their aesthetics. We're going to be learning about that. From there, we're going to dive into story and screenwriting. Because without a good script, you cannot do anything. It does not matter if you're the most talented director and the most talented actors in the world. If you have a bad script, then you are going nowhere. And so we are going to talk about not only proper formatting, because that is very, very important. You can't just type stuff out in a Word document and send it off. There's a specific format, so we'll go over that. Also, we'll talk about story beats, and we'll get into what it takes to make a good story. We'll talk about characters, all of that. And then we'll move into when you're starting to get things produced. We'll learn about what a producer does. We'll learn about cinematography. We'll learn about directing actors. I know a lot of you out there are excited to direct. That's one of the reasons that you're in this course. I've talked to a lot of you. You want to direct, and that is awesome. That is one of the reasons that we become filmmakers, is because we want to tell that story. We want to be in charge. But we're going to learn about how a director isn't the final say when it comes down to it. Filmmaking is a business, and so there are people who oftentimes are on top of the director, who are above them and can make unilateral decisions. But we're also going to talk about how, as a director, it's also still a collaborative process, and that actors have a say as well. So we're going to get into all of this stuff, and we're going to get into financing, because yeah, you can't just go out there and produce. You can't just say, hey, I'm going to film a movie tomorrow and I'm going to make it in the theaters. You need to have money. And so we're going to talk about all of these things. We're also going to talk about lighting. We're going to talk about editing. We're going to talk about everything that goes into making a film. Now, what are the things that you need? What tools do you need? Well, I'm going to show you what I am using, because I don't want you to feel like you need to invest in a whole bunch of equipment, okay? You will be filming things. This is the easiest way to do it, on a cell phone. You can just film on there, get your audio on there for now. Don't worry about doing anything more than this. Now, I'm also going to be using basically the cheapest camera on the market. There's nothing special about this camera. It films video. It's got a little lens, but it'll allow me to get some depth of field. And we'll talk about that once we get into cinematography. But you won't need anything more complicated than these. In the coming weeks, when we start talking about editing, we will then get into editing software. So we will be going with free editing options that you probably already have on your computer and don't know it. Otherwise, you'll be able to download them. It will be simple. So I don't want you to stress out. Also, lighting. So I wanted to, again, I wanted this to be exactly what you guys would have to use. So I am not using my big lights for even this right here. Let me show you. I have this. It is just a lamp, because I wanted to show how you can do this sort of stuff without getting into a whole bunch of crazy money spending stuff. Okay? So everything's going to be simple, and I'm going to show you how to do it simply. We'll also get into the big lighting rigs and all that stuff so that you know what they are. But for right now, I don't want you to worry about that. I don't want you to stress and think that you're going to have to do all this crazy stuff. We're going to keep this simple and basic, because that's what this course is. All right. Now, what are you going to get out of this course? That is the most important thing of any course, because I want you to learn. Now, the key thing that I want you to take away from this is the confidence to be able to produce a film or television show from start to finish, and knowing everything that goes into that process, so that you know, okay, the next step is this, and then this, and then this. Too many filmmakers get into it where they've got their vision, they've got their story that they want to tell, and the only reason that that story does not end up on someone's screen isn't because they didn't have the talent, but because they didn't know all of the steps in between to get financing, who to talk to, how to do certain aspects of the film process that they just didn't know. I want you to understand the importance of every crew member on your set, what they do, what they're responsible for, and why it's important. Because I know when I started, I thought, okay, well, you have a director, and you have actors, you have a guy behind the camera, and you have somebody, you know, doing audio, and that's it. Okay, we got everything. We'll film it outside so that we don't have to worry about lighting. Well, it's way more complicated than that. And every aspect of the crew, or every crew member, is important, because you've got all of those people, and you probably have 2 or 3, and then you have craft services, and then you have producers that are back there, and then you have people who are bringing cables, all this sort of stuff, just to make it so that when you are filming, you are getting your money's worth. Because remember, we're gonna all of the films we're gonna be working on this year are gonna be simple, and they're gonna be cheap. Once you move into where you're working with actors and where you're paying people, well, then things become very expensive very quickly. So that is one of the big things we're gonna be focusing on. I want you to know all of that stuff. Now, assignments. Every week there will be a video assignment. I'm going to try and keep it so that it is just video. If I'm, well, like next week, for example, when we're talking about film history, I was thinking about, well, I'll have you write something. No, I want you to just film your thoughts. So there's not going to be a lot of writing. There's going to be filming. So I'm going to want you to set up your camera, your phone, whatever, and you're going to be discussing with me those things. So you won't have to worry about doing a lot of research and things, but you are going to have to talk. And you're going to have to share your thoughts. Now, one of the most important aspects of this course, and that I'm going to drill into you every week, particularly when we are filming things and presenting them, is that you have to be able to be critiqued. You have to be able to have someone look at what you filmed and say, okay, this worked, this didn't work. And you have to be able to listen to that. If you can't do that, then you will not be able to be a success in the film industry. We're going to have a class, I think it's in 3 weeks, that is just about that. We're going to be talking about Pixar and about how they run their business. And their motto is fail as fast as you can. Okay? Here is the big reveal of this entire thing. You are going to fail at certain things during this process over the next 33 weeks. And that is good. You need to be able to fail. You need to be able to accept your failure. Because if you know that you failed at something, the next time you don't have to fail at it. You look at it, you say, okay, I didn't do as well on this. Well, now I know, and now I've learned it, and now next week it's not going to be a problem. We all need to be able to fail. And so you need to be able to listen to criticism and say, okay, I will listen to that. Now, as you progress, you're never going to be able to please everybody, and so it will be your decision as to what you listen to and what you don't when people critique. But for this course, since this is the beginning course, you need to listen to the critiques. You need to understand that if I'm telling you that something isn't working, I'm not doing it to be a jerk. I'm doing it so that you can progress and get better. That is my goal. So don't stress out if you don't feel like you're, doing as well as you think you are, or you can't get something right. We want you to fail. We want you to fail as fast as you can so that you will be able to move on and succeed. That's what we're going to be focusing on. So please, when you're turning those things in, we are going to critique, listen, learn, take it in, and then eventually, hopefully there won't be any critiques. And we'll just be like, no, that was awesome. Keep doing what you're doing. All right, assignment videos will be given every Monday. I will send you an email with the link. You can check it out just like this week. And you will have until the following Monday to turn in your assignment. Now, every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time, we will have the opportunity for a group meetup. I will send you a Zoom link. You can log on. We will all be there. If you have questions or if you have concerns or if something's not working, I will be available for everyone in that time to talk and discuss. If you want to, it's also a good opportunity to meet the other filmmakers and the other people in the class because we'll all be in there together. So we can talk. You can say, hey, I'm doing this, or somebody can say something they're excited about. So I would invite you to join that every Wednesday. If you don't, it's not a big deal. If you don't feel you have any questions or you want to use that time for something else when you're filming, that's all right too. But it is a great opportunity for you to be able to interact with everybody and have us share our thoughts. We'll also be having some that will be mandatory because we will be critiquing each other's stuff. We'll be talking about it, and we need to be able to do that. And I will let you know when those are in advance so that you know that at that time we need to be slated. And if there's some conflict, we'll work it out, and you'll let me know. But so that is the plan for the course for us to be able to move forward. All right, well, that's it for this week's class. This was a brief one. Generally, the classes are going to be between 20 and 30 minutes. Sometimes they'll go longer, but I'm going to try and keep them in there. And when we have our Wednesday classes, obviously you can ask whatever questions that you have. If I wasn't clear on something, I want you to be able to, bring that sort of stuff up. Also, at least once a month, during these video classes, I will also have an interview with someone from the business, someone who is working on what we're studying, someone who is a professional, and I will ask them questions and get them to talk about it so you have a better understanding of what that job does. This will be awesome because some of these people are incredibly talented and very hardworking, and they've got to where they are by following the principles that we're going to be learning over the next 33 weeks. So I want you to listen to them, pay attention. They are amazing, and we're going to have a ton of fun with them. So there we go. I'm done. Now it is time for your assignment. What I want you to do over the next week is I want you to film a 1-minute introduction of yourself, just like this. I want you to set up your camera in a static shot. That means it is not moving. It is either on a tripod or it's leaning up against the desk or whatever. It is a not moving shot. I want you to look around you, the world around you. And I want you to make it so that it is interesting as possible, but that it does not detract from you telling us about yourself. And it needs to be 1 minute long. You cannot go even a second over that 1 minute. Now, there's a reason for that because we're going to be talking about deadlines and we're going to be talking about constraints on creativity. And one of those things is the time that you have to tell your story. This week's is 1 minute. I want you to make it as interesting as possible. I want it to be a single shot. One shot, no cuts, you talking to the camera. Okay? Hopefully it doesn't sound too hard. Again, on Wednesday, if you have any questions, come to me. We will talk about it. We will get it taken care of. All right. I hope you are as excited as I am. This is going to be an awesome year. And you are going to be able to, if you think you can produce well now, at the end of this year, it's going to be night and day. And you're going to be producing really, really good stuff that you can then take and hopefully get in front of people and show it off so that you can tell your stories. So that's all for me for this week. I'm Steven Heumann. I hope that you are as excited as me, and I will see you